In his room, Elon Musk's Kid X sat, fixated on his computer screen. He was confronted with a complex subject that had baffled brilliant minds for a long time. No one had been able to solve this despite the best efforts of experts from all across the globe. Not today, though, X had a strategy, basic one, but it seemed like the solution. X had a natural curiosity even at an early age. He was constantly taking in new knowledge. His mind was quite permeable. While most of his peers would have preferred to play video games or watch television, he had other plans. X poured countless hours into reading up on intricate topics ranging from AI to space travel. Oh, this issue had piqued his interest. For weeks, he had pondered the matter, jotted down ideas on a whiteboard, and carried out experiments in his home laboratory. I don't understand what was the issue. A solution that would allow electric automobiles to recharge far more quickly has been a source of consternation for the experts. At the moment, charging was laborious and insufficient, regardless of technological advancements. E-Globe was prepared for a resolution, and X possessed a notion. Everyone was on the edge of their seat, anticipating the next big development. Would X, a youngster, be able to figure it out? Feeling like he had the entire world on his shoulders, X stared at his computer. His dad had always pushed him to dream big and do the unthinkable. Now, though this was serious, oh no, what if he bombed? Could you imagine if there was universal laughter? Thoughts were racing through X's. All came in out of nowhere. Elon Musk was the one. X could make out the underlying eagerness in his normally composed speech. With a deep breath, X said, "Son, I heard you're working on something big. Keep me updated." It was this. Something completely new was about to be attempted by him. Is it doable? Could he finally resolve the long-standing mystery that had baffled specialists for decades? An innocent mind may hold the future of our planet's answers. X wasn't sluggish. He snatched up his notepad and began sketching up plans and formulae. His father's words lingered in his thoughts to think outside the box. X, the impossible is just a challenge waiting to be solved. Devoting hours to his work, he kept his eyes glued on the screen as his small fingers tap away at the keyboard. He was attempting to alter the course of history, not only repair a machine. We were under tremendous strain. X had the weight of his father's revolutionary reputation on his shoulders. X had an idea. He intended to create a device that would use an alternative approach of charging in order to hasten the process. The majority of specialists had focused on improving the battery's performance, but X thought the solution was in the car's power source. He reasoned that he could enhance the charging station without addressing the battery. Is it possible he might be right? His initial effort was straightforward. He used parts he had rescued from broken electronics to build mini circuits. X possessed something more potent than the enormous resources of SpaceX or Tesla: an insatiable curiosity and a sharp intellect. Anxieties set in as he slid the last wire into place. Is it doable? A button was pressed by him. In addition to flashing a bright light, the charging station began to hum. X waited anxiously to see whether the automobile would charge more quickly. If the tiny test was successful, it could be a major step forward. The charging station's LCD showed the current status. He couldn't believe it. The automobile was charging 20 quicker than usual. A little beat skipped X's heart. Is this the solution? He wasted no time. Again, he picked up the phone and dialed his dad's number. I believe I figured it out. The charging station is functioning, I said to my father, pausing the conversation. You're kidding, Xy. Are you sure? I'm sure, Dad said. X, this could change everything. Unbeknownst to them, though, this was merely the start. The globe still hadn't prepared for the impending storm, and there remained obstacles to overcome. So what's the plan? Is X finding sufficient? Quickly, word got around. That was done by Elon Musk's son. An issue that had baffled specialists for years finally had an answer in his hands. There was a media frenzy. Reporters were interested in speaking with you from all over the globe. It was hard for anyone to accept that a young person had solved the puzzle. However, cynicism accompanied fame. Was it really possible for a kid to do this? A lot of people thought it was just luck or that X had accidentally found the solution. X, however, was unconcerned about that. The idea's viability has been demonstrated earlier by him. Improving it was now the next step. Although X and his father had success with the initial test, they discovered there were still some bugs to fix when they began testing the system on additional automobiles. There was a slight improvement in the charging speed. Data, testing, and revisions were lacking. A number of other businesses quickly took note. All of a sudden, the top names in the EV sector started contacting. Is it possible that X's innovation will impact how we travel in the future? There was escalating pressure. There was still a lot of unanswered questions, but X was sure he was working on something revolutionary. The tech industry was holding its breath, hoping he would bomb. X, though, was not the type to quiver. He had progressed thus far already. Time was running out. Although X's innovation was causing a stir, the world would not remain indifferent indefinitely. Professionals from all over the globe were rushing to keep up. Competition was heating up as they attempted to create similar technologies, reducing X's window of opportunity. Additional experiments were run and additional data was collected daily. However, an unsettling feeling persisted. Although it wasn't flawless, the system did its job. Some problems persisted. The charging stations had a history of problems, such as overcharging the batteries and overheating them. X and his dad put in countless hours of labor, trying out various materials, rearranging circuits, and investigating potential new designs. Some time was of the essence, but X was unyielding. He had faith in his concept and was hell-bent on seeing it through. The pressure built up throughout the days. The tech industry was observing, curiously awaiting X's ability to resolve the challenges. Asked as if he failed to do so, people would forget about his breakthrough and move on to the next great idea. X, however, was unconcerned. He was fixated on finding the answer. Once he set his mind to something, he wouldn't rest until it was flawless. Unexpected events occurred at the exact moment when everything appeared to be proceeding according to plan. Unexpectedly, the system failed to perform as expected. While X was putting the system through its paces in one of the quickest electric cars on the market, an issue arose during the charging process. There was a deafening pop. Everything went dark as soon as it left the charging station. There was no way out of this jam. The car had just 40 charge. Worry grew. Was X's invention done for good now? On the other end of the line was his dad's voice. He sees, never fear, X. We've encountered similar situations previously. Rest assured, we are capable of resolving this. X inhaled deeply. This wasn't yet finished. He would not allow this setback derail his progress. His team spent the entire night trying to figure out what was wrong. A straightforward circuit malfunction was determined to be the root of the issue. Everything was back on track once the system was rectified. Another test was within X's capabilities. Now more than ever, he needed to tread carefully. Everyone was looking on. Things would end right now if X failed. I woke up on the morning of the last exam. All eyes were on it because it was finally happening. Might X's solution truly make a difference? As the vehicle was connected to the charging station, a hum resounded. A progress bar appeared on the screen. X had gone to great lengths this time. Errors and malfunctions would not occur. History that transpired thereafter. Unusually, the car charged at a rate of 50 per hour. Cheers erupted from the room. It was X's doing, was an issue that he had resolved. Perplexed the world's leading thinkers. This ended all hope of electric car advancements in the future. However, one last inquiry remained. Is this new technology going to be accepted by everyone? In X's case, would the specialist back his vision or work to dismantle it? Everyone was going to find out soon. There could be no denying the breakthrough. X had accomplished the unthinkable. This invention was revolutionary, and it might cause a complete shift in the electric car market. Rapid adoption and integration of X's invention into their operations occurred at Tesla and other companies. Computer programs. No one had ever anticipated that electric automobiles could charge that quickly. Everyone paid attention. X had finally cracked a riddle that had baffled scientists for a long time. But that was just the start. With the subsequent advancements, X came to represent the potential that could be realized when an individual had the courage to think outside the box. This altered the course of history irrevocably. The word of X's success quickly spread. All throughout the world, news outlets were captivated by the story. The son of Elon Musk had just removed a major obstacle to the electric vehicle industry. The revolution in vehicles. Critics and experts alike were rushing to provide their opinions. Some saw X as a genius at a young age, but others were dubious that this might solve the world's chronically slow electric car charging issue. One of the most frequently voiced concerns was, how could a child figure this out? The statistics, however, could not be denied even in the face of skepticism. Compared to their predecessors, the charging stations are now 50 quicker. X had altered the norm. Nevertheless, not everyone were enthusiastic. The traditional power grids are owned by large firms, and their processes are slow. Technologies for charging were anxious, claiming it was an abnormality. X's creation was a fluke or couldn't scale up. Some attempted to undermine X's discovery. Slow charging infrastructure had been $1 billion investment for these corporations. Maintaining their monopoly was their first priority. The world has witnessed numerous groundbreaking ideas stifled by powerful corporations vying to safeguard their own interests. Can we expect X's breakthrough to be muted as well? Son Elon Musk was immediately defended by Elon Musk. We have merely begun to explore the possibilities. This is simply the start. X was inspired to persevere in his mission by his impactful comments. But a great deal remained unfinished. All eyes were on this moment, trying to decipher if it was a passing fad or the beginning of something monumental. Although X's fast charging station concept has been validated, the real challenge would be to scale it up. A lot more was riding on this technology that he had built in his modest private lab with little funding. The issue of the system's efficacy has been resolved. This was about whether every day could manage the massive demand from charging millions of automobiles simultaneously. Scaling was anticipated as the primary obstacle by X and his father. Because it was novel, the technology had its share of problems. How would it fare in the actual world, given that the prototypes were successful in simulated settings? A plethora of designers, analysts, and engineers encircled X. From developing the system's prototype to producing it in large quantities, everyone was attempting to find a solution. There was escalating pressure. The world would abandon them if they were unsuccessful, and X's monumental achievement might go unrecognized. X, though, was unwavering. Despite the uncertainties and demands, he remained resolute. He was a project manager in charge of everything, and he worked nonstop. His fixation on perfecting the system reached a breaking point. His progress had been remarkable. The team had been working nonstop for months, and now they were finally prepared to test the larger version of X's charging stations. Now was the time for action. The system's performance in real-world conditions would be the true litmus test, but they had succeeded in making it even more efficient. With his pulse pounding, X stood before the brand new charging station. After plugging in the vehicle, charging commenced. The progress was shown by the screen flashing. Unexpectedly, the figures increased at a rapid pace. A whopping 50 quicker than previously, the station was recharging the vehicle. X's pupils enlarged. It was this. Everything would be defined by this moment. However, the test was still ongoing. The true test was to see if the system could manage simultaneous charging of numerous vehicles. Would it continue to be as efficient as before, or would it fail miserably when tested? They chose to connect 5 vehicles simultaneously. As they nervously scanned the screens, the room fell into a hushed stillness. Charging speeds kept going up, and the cars were getting charged at crazy rates. Everything was falling into place. The globe could finally benefit from the technology. With a sense of pride, Elon Musk watched his kid compete. He was aware that this was just the beginning, but that it marked the beginning of an era in which electric vehicles will rule. Even when the expanded system was successful, X's detractors persisted in doubting his innovation. It was nonetheless met with reluctance by many in the sector. Others thought it was just interesting. Some people thought it was only a stopgap measure. They said that the technology would crumble under the pressure of too many users. This is a small-scale success, remarked a well-known industry analyst, but we need to see how it performs on a global scale before we can say it's the future. X paid little attention to the negativity. He had already demonstrated the system's efficacy, and he was well aware that this technology represented only the surface level. More and more was still to be discovered. Such breakthrough was crucial for the electric vehicle industry's future. In his bones, he could sense it. Back this time, though, the obstacle was new. The concept had been established by X, but he still needed to win over those who had doubts. No way was it going to be a picnic. Additional challenges, hardships, and tests would be ahead on the path ahead. Still, X was prepared. The fact that he had reached this point only strengthened his resolve to continue onward. Tesla's world started to take note when more and more time went by. At Tesla's supercharger locations, X's fast charging stations are now standard. Not long after, competing businesses began using the same technology in their own electric car systems. The uprising has started. More rapid charging is now possible for electric automobiles. Still, X wasn't content to stop at fixing the charging issue. There was more to the future of EVs than just rapid charging, in his opinion. Energy storage was the next larger obstacle. X was resolute in his pursuit of improved energy storage options and better batteries for the planet. By finally solving a riddle that had baffled scientists for decades, Elon Musk's son had already achieved historic status. Nonetheless, he still had a long way to go. Even more groundbreaking discoveries were on the horizon. After some time had passed, X took the stage at the world's biggest technology conference. He had expanded his identity beyond that of Elon Musk's son. He had come to represent originality and the power of thinking beyond the box. A smile spread across his face as he gazed out at the crowd. His path had been fraught with obstacles, uncertainties, and distrust throughout its length. However, he had succeeded. Worldwide, millions of electric cars were now powered by his technique. No one had dared to believe what he had accomplished. He altered the trajectory of human events by doing so. With X's journey just starting, the world would never be the same again. I wonder what problem he'd tackle next. The options were limitless. For the time being, though, he stood tall and proud, knowing that he had made an indelible impression on the globe. A new era had begun, And it had all begun with a boy's simple concept who thought he could make a difference. Yes, with the glittering lights of the conference hall enveloping him as he stood on that stage, X had a profound realization: technology and problem solving weren't the only goals of the voyage. The goal was to motivate everyone, especially the youth of today, to dream big and do amazing things in the world. The desire to make a difference was more important than age, experience, or expectations, as he had demonstrated. As people were starting to realize that new ideas may originate from any place, X had demonstrated to them that the most basic concepts might at times be the most effective. The once inconceivable became doable thanks to his innovation. A more environmentally friendly and sustainable future was now within reach, all thanks to his efforts. Elon Musk was waiting for him when he stepped down from the stage. Elon put his hand on his son's shoulder and a proud grin appeared on his face. "Uncle, you did it," Elon whispered. X grinned in return, his spirit buoyant as he heard the words, "You didn't just solve a problem, you changed the world." But he had an innate understanding that things were only getting started to change. No one knew what to do next, and the problem seemed to go on forever. As things stood, though, X had established an important point. If you dared to dream it, it could become a reality. As X stepped off the stage, the applause echoed in his ears, but it wasn't just the sound of clapping. As X stepped off the stage, the applause echoed in his ears, but it wasn't just the sound of clapping, it was the sound of change, the sound of hope. He had proven to the world that no matter how young or underestimated you might be, with determination, vision, and courage, you can achieve the impossible. The irony of a boy who dared to think differently had sparked a revolution, not just in technology, but in the way people view potential and innovation. Elon Musk stood waiting for him, his eyes gleaming with pride. As he placed a hand on X's shoulder, he spoke words that would stay with X forever. "You didn't just solve a problem, you changed the world." The world was ready for what was next, and so was X. His story was far from over, and neither was the inspiration he would bring to millions. Thank you for watching this incredible story of determination, innovation, and triumph. If this story moved you, inspired you, or even made you think, don't forget to subscribe to Velvet Sovereigns, where we bring you the most fascinating, thought-provoking, and inspiring stories. Stay tuned for even more amazing journeys that will spark your imagination and ignite your dreams. Besides, the next story might just change your perspective or even your life. See you in the next one. It was the sound of change, the sound of hope. He had proven to the world that no matter how young or underestimated you might be, with determination, vision, and courage, you can achieve the impossible. Aslan, their journey of a boy who dared to think differently, had sparked a revolution, not just in technology, but in the way people viewed potential and innovation. Elon Musk stood waiting for him, his eyes gleaming with pride. As he placed a hand on X's shoulder, he spoke words that would stay with X forever. "You didn't just solve a problem, you changed the world." The world was ready for what was next, and so was X. The story was far from over, and neither was the inspiration he would bring to millions. Thank you for watching this incredible story of determination, innovation, and triumph. If this story moved you, inspired you, or even made you think, don't forget to subscribe to Velvet Sovereigns, where we bring you the most fascinating, thought-provoking, and inspiring stories. Stay tuned for even more amazing journeys that will spark your imagination and ignite your dreams. The next story might just change your perspective or even your life. See you in the next one.